All right, I'm getting a little bit better at this. Patience. So we are looking at the anatomy of the ear. Now, as we're looking at the anatomy of the ear, we're going to start looking big picture at the stuff that you can see. This area, which is called the pinna, it's also known as the auricle. And then stuff that's down in, let me change this. Stuff that's down inside of this structure, the cochlea, okay? So be patient because some of the stuff is going to be obvious and some of the stuff gets more and more imaginary almost, okay? So we're talking about the ear, and now we know from the lecture that the ear contains the mechanoreceptors that allow us to hear and also give us our sense of balance. Remember, as you are doing these lab videos, that this part that I'm doing here is the part that I would be talking up in front. However, also in your Canvas page, you have access to videos of me walking you through the individual models. So make sure you're doing both of them, right? So sound. Sound is going to start out here at the outer ear, and your outer ear, the pinna or the auricle, is going to capture the sound and focus it down into this tube, which is known as the auditory canal. The auditory canal. The auditory canal channels those mechanical waves of sound until they hit right here, the tympanum. The tympanum is what people often refer to as their eardrum, but because this is an anatomy class, 0 points for eardrum. You only get credit for tympanum or tympanic membrane. The tympanum is the boundary between the outer ear, and the middle ear. Okay. Now we're in the middle ear. In the middle ear, there are 3 tiny little bones. I'll show you them in additional detail. You need to know the names of those bones. The first bone, the one that's attached to the tympanum, is the malleus. The malleus looks like a mallet or a hammer. The second bone, you don't get a very good picture of it here. That is called the incus. And the third bone, you get a good look at it here. That is called the stapes. And the stapes, that is the Latin name for a stirrup in a horse's saddle. And it looks just like that. So one of the things that can be difficult when you are looking at just a model showing those 3 bones is to tell one from another. So this is how I always know which one is the stapes, right? And since I always know which one is the stapes, I just have to remember what order are they in, right? So I always know that number 3 right here, that's the one that looks like a stirrup, that's the stapes. And I know that they are in order, malleus, incus, stapes, with the incus being in the middle, okay? And sometimes I think you don't want to miss this question, right? So malleus, incus, stapes. Now, the stapes, it is going to create a pumping motion right here at this part of the ear called the oval window, that area where the stapes comes in contact with the bone of the inner ear. That is called the oval window. And then we've got the inner ear. The inner ear is where we will find it's here in the inner ear that we're going to find all of the mechanoreceptors that give us our sense of hearing and balance. The part that allows us to hear is right here, looks like a snail shell, called the cochlea. And these areas here, this is the vestibule, and then this is one of the semicircular canals. All right, now we're zoomed up more closely, and you get a better view of the malleus, the incus, and the stapes. So here we've got the malleus, here we've got the incus, here we have the stapes. The stapes comes in contact with the inner ear here at the oval window, and here we've got the cochlea. Remember that the cochlea allows you to experience sound. The vestibule allows you to experience balance up and down. And these three semicircular canals, there are three of them. You'll see that better on my model video. Those semicircular canals allow you to know how you are rotating in space. The name of the nerve that carries all of this information from your ear to the brain is called the vestibulocochlear nerve, because it comes from the vestibule, from the cochlea, so vestibulocochlear nerve. And now we just see the semicircular canals, and things are just labeled the things that I just said. Ooh, okay, what is this? All right. Well, do you see this area of the cochlea? Right here, right in this area, they've kind of cut open a chunk so that you can see inside. And when you see inside, you can see that this tube is actually a tube that when you cut across it, it has got 1, 2, 3 little segments that, 3 little segments of fluid. And sound waves actually create a water wave that goes out and then back through a different tube. And that's what we're looking at here. We're looking here at those 3 areas. And you can see in this image, this is the vestibular canal. Down here is the tympanic canal. And in this area is the cochlear duct. This structure right here, I'm going to draw a box around it. That structure, that's where all the mechanoreceptors of hearing are, and they make up the organ of corti. Let's look at what your lab model actually looks at. Oh, it looks like this. So this last image called this the vestibular duct. No, the vestibular canal. Another term for that is scala vestibuli. The last image called this the tympanic canal. Yeah. This is also known as the scala tympani. And then the cochlear duct, well, it was called the cochlear duct in both places, right? A little bit more that you need to know, this is on your model. This is the organ of corti. And it's here in the organ of corti that you will find the mechanoreceptor cells that allow you to experience sound. A little more detail. We also have a couple of membranes we need to know. This is the basilar membrane. It's called basilar because it's the base that these mechanoreceptor cells have their feet on that base. And here is the tectorial membrane. And the tectorial membrane is where the little tips of the hair cells are touching. There's one more membrane, but I'm not going to ask you to memorize that one. All righty? So here is an image for you to use to study on your own.